You are watching On Demand. Please do not try to vote or enter any competition or other interactivity in this programme, as it may not count and you may still be charged.
Hello and welcome to your Friday's Helping of Loose Women. Joining me, Kay Adams, on the panel today is Frankie Bridge, Katie Piper, OBE, and Sinetra Sarkar. Coming up.
What came to a head for you at school, didn't it? In the school loos.
Yeah, I was in there and they'd come in. Before I knew it, like, my head was in the loo and they were flushing it repeatedly and holding me down.
Well, as Nadia Hussain opens up about the horrific bullying she suffered at school, we're asking, would you confront your childhood bully? Also, we're talking about sleep issues. How do you deal with kids' night terrors? Find out why Frankie's had to call in a sleep therapist. And unmasking our guest for today.
Yes, I'm wearing leather. Well, to get you even more excited, they're shorts.
What will he be wearing today? Masked singer judge Jonathan Ross will be joining us, and he'll be the one taking on another persona as a loose man, giving us his take on the topics. But first of all, we have to say congratulations again, Katie, OB. It's a fantastic achievement.
Thank you.
You did a little live link on the day, didn't you?
Yes, Mum came with me. I dragged her on, yeah.
Yeah, and it was Princess Anne, yeah?
Yeah, I was, because you don't find out until on the day because of security. And, you know, she's got this reputation of being the hardest working royal. And I can confirm that is true. She was really knowledgeable about my charity and just acid attacks in general. She's travelled to Bangladesh and she's supported other victims out there. So it felt really personal. You know, she gave you her time and made you feel like you really knew her.
And does somebody, what I would worry about is, do I know the protocol? Am I going to be able to, curtsy in the right place to say the right thing? Did they give you a rundown?
2 rehearsals.
Right,
my curtsy turned into a bit of a lunge because I overdid it a bit. And then they gave us this thing of when you first address her, it's Your Royal Highness. And then following that, it's ma'am, like jam. And that's what my mum said to me. She was like, think jam, think jam. So then I almost said, like, hello, jam, ma'am. You know, I was very nervous. I found it hard to keep my cool. So.
I'm not surprised. I'd be terrified because there's so many rules.
Yeah, and you just think of, like, if you curtsy, will you headbutt somebody, or, you know, you just start to catastrophise.
Which I guess is kind of difficult for her when you think about it, because she always gets a reputation of actually being quite a down-to-earth person. You wonder how she deals with that.
I always think that, though. The way they, like, if you have ever, I'm sure, you know, when they come into a room, you've all got to stand, like, we all got made to stand in, like, little semicircles and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'd hate to walk into a room. I know that everyone's been given a brief before I step in.
And is she really offended if you were to say Anne? Would she really be that offended? Are we protecting her from feeling such offence by saying her name?
I think I'm such a sucker for tradition, and I think in that occasion it's nice to have those formalities.
But it's a ceremony, isn't it?
Yeah, so that makes it feel special. And, you know, I'm a royalist, and I think that's what's great about this country. You know, America doesn't have those traditions and that institution.
They love it.
No, I'm just thinking, within 5 minutes, Sinetra, that's all I would give you. I bet you'd be saying, can I just call you Anne? Come on.
Are you all right with me calling you Anne? And if she said yes, I would call her Anne.
Good for you, good for you.
If she said no, though, you'd be like, all right, OK.
Oh, yeah.
What,
Sorry, ma'am. All right, jam.
Ma'am, jam.
Your name does rhyme with ma'am.
Anyway, Sinetra's given some other big news this morning. We hear that she wears her perfume on her...
Hang on a second.
You've got to tell her. I've got to let her tell her.
God.
OK, she wears her perfume on her ankles. We don't know why.
Right.
Why?
Let me just back up here. I've got this new smell.
Princess Anne wouldn't do that, I can tell you.
A lot of people have been commenting on my new smell, and I have to say to them before they go, where can I get it? It's a room spray, right?
Which in itself, again, is another big question.
I know, it's not something I've done before, but Jodie Comer agrees with me.
Oh, here she goes. She's
that's
dropping the
okay
big
then,
news.
yeah.
She's not very down to earth, is she?
She also wears this as a body spray as opposed to room spray because it's just too nice to spray in your room. So I've been wearing it on my ankles and my calves because I feel like it'll just follow me.
Why is the furthest away from
ankles?
people's nostrils?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Is it just any old rooms? By the way, we've got a call to say it's Miss Comer to you, OK?
Oh, yeah.
Rather than that.
Yeah, it is.
Is it just any old room spray that...
No, it's just this
Oh,
one
that one.
specific amazing smell that I like, and I don't want to waste it just by going like that around the room, so I sort of go shh on my ankles. However, I have information here that says that the places you should be applying your perfume, it isn't meant to be the wrists and like there and there. It is down your calves. Ka-ching!
Oh, really?
I always thought it was pulse points.
So
Top of your ears,
Right.
in your hair, inside your elbows, behind the knees, on your feet, and in your belly button.
No, come on.
really?
Who got
Not
this
in the- well,
information?
Actually, that makes sense to me, because I used to love smelling my belly button fluff.
Oh,
Did no one else?
Oh, my goodness.
No.
Sure you want to say that on
I don't have any fluff in
television?
my belly button.
I just don't understand what's happening here. We've got you wearing room spray on your ankles, her sniffing her belly button in her own time. What are you going to say?
I've got a bit of an ankle story for you, right? I had a very floral body lotion. You know, when it's from a perfume house and it's
Yeah.
quite a rich body lotion. Took the kids to the zoo in the summer in my shorts, legs slathered in this rather expensive body lotion, and a rat ran out from the undergrove, bit my ankle on the bony bit, I drew blood, couldn't leave because I'd already paid my entry to the zoo with the kids, and we walked around. Had to get my money's worth. Had to get my money's worth. Walked around the zoo all day with my kids, telling anyone who would listen, "Mummy got bit by a rat today," and I blame the perfume body lotion. No, because it was too edible smelling.
No, you're going down the fact that a rat bit you because of this perfume. I'm just worried about the fact that you didn't go straight to A&E. I'd have got a
Exactly.
helicopter out of there.
There's so
been
much
getting
to it.
injected
There's
with
so much
something.
to
News for the
unpack in that
4-year-old, do they?
story.
I
There's
know.
so much to unpack.
I don't
in
use
that
that
story.
body lotion anymore.
I'm
I'll
actually
switch to
wondering
Reading
if you're
spray.
secretly Scottish. I couldn't leave because I'd
I'd
paid
paid.
the entrance fee, despite the fact that
It's
I'd been
nearly
bitten by a
£100
rat.
for
What
two
if it
children and
came
an
back
adult to
and
the zoo.
got
She'd
one
had a
of you or the
tetanus
kids?
shot.
Yes.
No.
No, she just got a bit
Cool.
antiseptic when she got home.
Do you still wear that body lotion?
I binned it. So
Yeah.
actually it costs me more anyway. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, she finished it and then she didn't buy any more because you don't want to waste it, do you?
No, yeah.
Definitely not. Well, listen, last night Nadia Hussain joined Kate Garraway for the second episode of Life Stories. And she opened up about the really horrific bullying that she suffered at school.
It all came to a head for you at school, didn't it? In the school loos.
Yeah. I was in there and they'd come in. Before I knew it, like, my head was in the loo and they were flushing it repeatedly and holding me down. And all I remember is, like, loo water in my nose and in my eyes and in my ears and in my hair.
Do you think those boys had any idea what they'd done to you?
No.
And what would you say to them?
I mean, if they're watching in your face.
Oh, good for her. She's such a strong character, Nadia, isn't she? I mean, unless you've been in that situation, I haven't. You know, that wasn't my school experience, and it sounds pretty extreme. I mean, have you experienced that feeling of real fear at school, particularly?
I was never bullied to an extent like that, but I always used to have like one or two people that just decided that they didn't like. This was like secondary school where they wanted to fight me. So I'd always, like, you know, every day walking to school or walking home from school, or when I was going into the playground for break, I'd always be terrified that she was going to come and find me and that we were going to have this fight. And I'd never had a fight in my life, you know. I was genuinely terrified of her, but nothing ever actually happened. But I think now when I've seen them since and seen who they are, and I'm not scared of them anymore. I think when you get older, you realise, like we were saying, you know, they're these big characters when you're at school, and whether they're the popular ones or they're the hard ones, you know, people used to say at school, they're not that as adults. And you kind of realise they're just the same as anyone else. And actually, most of them had come from a really horrible, they were going through really horrible things when they were younger.
And obviously Kate was putting that, you know, question as what would you say to them now? I mean, would you ever want, you think, some kind of, not necessarily a showdown, but some sort of reconciliation or meeting with people?
You're going in with expectations, aren't you, that you will get what you want to hear. And I think setting yourself up for something like that takes a lot of courage, and you've also got to have a real reality check that, will you feel better if they say, yeah, I'm sorry, or I don't remember what you're talking about. A lot of bullies won't remember they were bullies anyway, so if you're going to remind them, you might not get the outcome you want. So I think it's quite a tricky area. Some people's arguments will
But that's interesting. They might not not know that they were a bully.
Yeah, they may not have interpreted it in that way. And I think, do you know what, it's going externally looking for closure. And actually, closure isn't something you go and seek from somebody else. Closure comes from within, because closure is a journey of acceptance and letting go and, you know, finding peace. You don't need apologies and other people to come to you to find inner peace. That's why it is inner.
Yeah.
You know,
But, you know, it's funny that you say that, Sinetra, because I always think, like, when we discuss bullying and, you know, kind of we're on a panel in the public eye, whatever, there's always this assumption that we would be on the receiving end of it. And how many of us actually really look into ourselves and maybe the kids we were and think, gosh, did I treat that person badly? Even though I didn't think of it at the time, or maybe I got drawn into something, and that somebody could look back and say, well, actually, you made me feel rubbish.
Well, I think that's what, like, Sinetra said. She was like, you know, they might not realise they've done it. I think
We might not realise. Have you ever thought, did I do it?
You might not. But I definitely know, you know, I was always trying to be nice to everyone, and I wouldn't have ever liked to have upset someone. But I definitely know that I had been there when someone else was being horrible to someone else, and I didn't step up and say, actually, this is wrong. And you're kids, you know, you're just trying to fit in. You don't want to be on the receiving end of it. Oh, if I'm not doing it, then I'm not a part of it. But you are in a way. Now, as an adult, you'd be like, oh, I don't think that's right, actually.
It's different at school. Like, you're finding your identity, you're navigating your way through life. And I think, actually, if you do bully somebody, it probably comes from a place of distress and harm. Maybe you're from, a difficult setup at home.
Yeah.
It's fight or flight. It's survival instinct, isn't it? Like, am I going to be the person that gets bullied, or am I going to stand with the people who are bullying? I mean, it must be really hard for children to navigate that, no matter what age.
What did you say it was,
That
Kate?
saying, hurt people.
I love
And that's
that
how you can
expression.
put empathy on the
But
situation.
having said that, the flip side of it is nothing could excuse the behaviour that Nadia Hussein was subjected to, which was utterly,
that was a
utterly
physical assault.
unacceptable.
I
So
mean,
it's such a difficult balance, isn't it? There's an interesting comment from Anastasia says, yes, I have met my bully, but she has changed and we've become good friends over the years. I know more about her childhood now and can also offer some kind of understanding as to why she was the way she was.
That's a really
quite
nice
healing,
way
I
of
think.
being able to resolve it. We also got there was another letter that was printed in a magazine recently, which was about the bully responding in an email and saying, I would tear you down to build me up.
Yeah.
And I'm truly sorry for the way I treated you. And he ends it by saying, I should have made amends to you years ago, and I'm sorry for the way I treated you. Thank you for calling me out.
That's
And I think
interesting.
that thank you is more better than the sorry.
Yeah.
So
Do you get what I mean? Like,
accountability,
rather than saying, I'm
isn't
sorry I hurt you, him saying, thank you for calling me out, makes you actually feel empowered more.
Yeah, because we talk about bullying, don't we? And we kind of go in circles with it. But we have to understand where it comes from to be able to address it. I mean, if we just say, all bully's bad, terrible, you know, put them over there, and I'm not condoning the behaviour at all, but unless you understand behaviour, you don't unravel behaviour. And I think...
And everyone has a different idea of what bullying is, don't they? And what...
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. After the break, a lack of it can apparently lead to mental health issues and even dementia. We're going to be talking about sleep issues, from insomnia to night terrors. And at 1 o'clock, a mini Life Before Loose with Sinetra. We're going to be getting all the behind-the-scenes gossip from her acting career on shows like Casualty, including the ins and outs. Should I really be saying the ins and outs of sex scenes? And why co-stars end up getting together off camera. She's got a lot to tell us. See you after this.
Now.
I can't believe I'm the authority.
Welcome back. Still to come at 1 o'clock, Masked Singer judge Jonathan Ross joined us ahead of this weekend's Tens final. Oh, he looks like such a good boy there.
I'm on best behaviour.
Oh, he's a lovely boy. He's going to be masquerading as a loose man for the day, giving us his thoughts on the day's topics. It's competition time now, and we are giving you the chance to be £250,000 richer. Not you, Jonathan. Andy Peters is here with all the details.
Do you fancy becoming our next big winner? Well, here's another chance for you to become rich with our life-changing cash prize. It's £250,000. Now, who better than me, the king of cash, to tell you about this huge cash prize? And let's be honest, I don't need a reason to celebrate, and a royal ride in a royal car is right up my street. Morning, Ron. Someone will be £250,000 richer. Imagine that. But how would you spend it? Well, luckily for you, I've already done the maths. £250,000 could buy you a brand new holiday home or a luxury camper van if you feel that adventure is calling. You'd still be left with lots of cash to spend on a brand new car, holidays, a new kitchen, or pay off some of the mortgage. The options are endless. Remember, there's a guaranteed winner for every single one of our competitions. So the next big winner could be you. It's time to enter. Rob, it's time to get to Buckingham Palace. For another chance to win £250,000. Text cash to 82248. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or go to the website. Entries cost £2. You can call 09068 782248. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and phone number to CD05 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 8 and over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on Friday the 4th of March. You've got to be in it to win it. Good luck.
Now, a new report has revealed a strong link between poor sleep in childhood and a lifetime of poor mental health. This comes as another report links disrupted sleep cycles to an increased risk of Alzheimer's. So it's really a stark reminder of just how important sleep is. But getting it is not always as easy as it sounds. Lots of people suffer from sleep issues such as insomnia. Sinetra and I have got to back out of this because we're both, we fall asleep on a washing line, which really annoys other people, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just one of those things that makes you just instantly dislike someone.
I know.
We don't want to hear it. And I wasn't that keen on you anyway, okay, so...
and then you two have got small kids into the mix as well.
I haven't probably had a good night's sleep for 8 years, I'd say.
You look great.
Imagine if I had, like, 12 hours sleep a night.
We'd have to fan the flames.
Oh. And what about the kids? Do they sleep?
No, not really. I've said a few times on here, we have a bit of a strange setup. We do all share a bed, and now we've got the dog. The dog sleeps with us as well. So we're all together. And my kids, you know, they kind of rotate on a whole 360 throughout the night, both of them. They often like to be on me. But my eldest, like, since he was really young, has night terrors. And they're just horrible. They're worse for you than they are for them.
Yeah.
He had quite a few last night, actually. So both Wayne and I ended up kind of...
So what happens?
Well, sometimes they just talk, or sometimes they kind of shout, but Parker often cries a lot when he has them. So he'll be hysterically crying, and I'll be like, Parker, are you okay? What are you doing? It's okay, Mummy's here. And he just carries on.
Is he awake?
No, he's just completely asleep. So he's not aware that I'm even there or that I'm in the room.
Then in the morning, does he remember?
No, doesn't remember a thing. So I'm distressed. I'm like, oh no, is he okay? He's really upset, trying to cuddle him, trying to calm him down. And then in the morning, I'll be like, oh, Parker, do you remember what you dreamt about last night? He's like, no. And I'm like, it's just the strangest thing.
Yeah. It's so common, though. Don't beat yourself up about it.
No,
I think
really
if you Google it, it happens to so many children.
18% of children experienced night terrors. Insomnia, 36% of adults struggle to get to sleep on a weekly basis. I mean, I went on holiday once, a ski holiday, with this woman who I didn't know, who happened to share a room with, and she was a true insomniac.
Yeah.
True insomniac. Really? She just didn't sleep, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was out like a light. I mean,
great friend.
You said, Kay, you said.
I know, I'm sorry. I mean, I can't help it. But I just became fascinated by it.
And did she find it distressing? Or?
She just got used to it over years and years and years, and she went through a routine. She would read for a while, she would sit quietly for a while. You know, she had all of her own sort of coping mechanisms, but she had got to a point that she accepted it, which I guess you would have to, wouldn't you?
I'm always on my phone, so I know, actually, for me, I can't claim to be an insomniac. I'm a self-sabotager. You know, I lay there in bed, even if it needs charging, I lay at the edge of the bed so the wire reaches, and then I'm falling asleep and it's kind of hitting me on the forehead, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure this is really working for me. So only in the last week I've tried to break the habit and put the phone on the landing, plugged into the charger there. So actually it really helps me get up at the same time every day, because you can't hit snooze when the alarm goes off in the hallway, and that's helping me get more tired at night.
Yeah.
But they do say the blue light is a big thing, don't they?
Yeah.
And for me, whenever with like depression and anxiety, whenever I've gone to the doctors, like, sleep is a massive thing. The first thing they'll say to me is, how's your sleep? And if my sleep's bad, they're like, well, we can't do anything about your depression or anxiety until we've sorted your sleep out. And I think we all have so much going on in our lives that actually sleep just becomes the bottom of our, our worries.
And it also
of our
depends on,
to-dos.
you know, there's not one size fits all with sleep, is there? And especially with your jobs, no matter what you like. Imagine what cabin crew or air pilots have to go through. But even as an actor on night shoots, one day you might be working 5 in the morning till 5 at night. The next day you could be working midnight till midday. And your lunch hour gets moved accordingly. And so your body has to just handle what you can cope with.
So
and
how do you handle it?
Well, I used to melatonin was really good because that would help you fall asleep because it's like it helps the part of your brain that gets to sleep. It's not a drug, it's like a herbal thing. And also the 90-minute cycles that you're meant to sleep in. So if you set your alarm if you use 90 minutes as the measure of when you want to set your alarm to wake you up, if you wake up at the end of a 90-minute cycle, you're a lot fresher than if you wake in the beginning of the next 90 minutes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I've
so
noticed
things
that.
like that work.
Sometimes you wake up and you're just like, oh my God, you don't know where anything is. And then you can wake up half an hour earlier and you're actually kind of fresh, which is weird. But so interesting that you say that that's the first thing your doctor goes to, because with our children, like when your kids are young, sleep, you're obsessed with their sleep patterns, aren't you? And as you say, as we get older, we kind of move further away from that, it goes down the pile, where maybe we should...
Well, I'm now trying to undo all the bad habits I've got my kids into. I've had to get like a sleep specialist that I talk to on Zoom to try and help me get them back into like a good routine, because I've realised just how important it is.
Get them onto Sinetra as well.
I know,
After the break, I wonder how well our guest for today sleeps. Jonathan Ross is going to be Don't Sleep Yet, Jonathan. And he'll be giving us all the behind-the-scenes gossip ahead of this weekend's Masked Singer final, as well as his thoughts on today's story as he becomes a loose man for the day. I feel I should have a magic wand. See you after this.
Romance is in the air next week as we celebrate Love Week. To help us mark the occasion, we have a flock of lovebirds joining us to share their journeys together. And some of the loose women's other halves will be sharing romantic surprises and revelations. That's all next week at 12:30. Love you loads.
Welcome back to your Friday Loose Women alongside me, Kay Adams. It's Frankie Bridge, Sinetra Sarkar and Katie Piper OBE. I'm never going to get tired of saying that. Coming up at 1:15, does parenting get easier as kids get older? Jonathan Ross says that it does, but do you agree? Now, this is really big news, Sinetra. You're giving us all the stories today. You really are. Perfume on your ankles. And now we hear that you have been voted one of the 10 best TV medics of all times.
That famous top 10 that we
I
all know
about. By the Times. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. You're number top 10. You're just behind Dr. Chris Steele, MBE, who is this morning real doctor, as to be said. Number 1 was Hawkeye Pierce from MASH.
I mean, that's what made me so chuffed. It was like, this is like quite historic, and it's really like, these are iconic medics that we've seen in different ways. Hugh Laurie in House. And,
I know.
And there's a guy from ER, there's Dr. Benton, and I remember watching these people growing up, so then to be tagged on the end of this list is what
You're not tagged on the end, you're number 10. And what's more, they described your bedside manner as smoking. Let's have a look.
You really want to have a word with your interior designer?
Lock the door.
As I was saying, I haven't got long. So whatever this is, I expect it to be pretty impressive.
Well, if you want to see something impressive, I'm holding the wrong instrument.
I've heard all the jokes before, Max, and they're not funny. So if that's all this is...
Wait. Sit down. Tell me again, what did you say when you came in?
I said, whatever this is, I expect it to be pretty.
She's cringing next to me here. I can't even deal with seeing you like that. It's so weird.
Very smoking. Very
Thank
smoking.
you. I mean,
It was the little eyebrow eyebrow. It's one eyebrow, she's going in.
I can't believe you spotted that was my trademark thing, the Zoe eyebrow. I can't believe you said that. Yes. And that stethoscope got swung on and off a lot. That was my little sexy time's over.
Well, I tell you what, that came very naturally.
Oh, look at her.
Look at you look fabulous.
You calling me sexy?
I think I am. You know, from a safe distance.
you.
I mean, are you a sexy person?
No, I'm an actress.
Oh,
I can
right, okay.
act sexy when I need to be. And she was a really, I got so lucky with a character like her because she smoked, she drank, she partied hard, and she was also an excellent doctor. How lucky.
What about those intimate scenes? What were they like? Was it difficult to do?
Well, that was all part of who she was. The reason she was such a car crash sometimes in her personal life is because she had all these altercations with different men, and moments, and romance wasn't really on the top of the list because she couldn't have children. So behind it all, she couldn't actually have children. So she sort of self-destructed through one-night stands and
Self-destructed. She looked as if she was having a pretty good time as far as I can
Listen,
see.
it's a job, and I'm telling you, it's hard.
You never
to
got aroused?
Never. Are you kidding me?
It's very convincing.
Katie, that's a great compliment, but no, you can't get it. You can't actually get turned on when you're acting with cameras and crew and people, and you know someone's forcing that person to kiss you.
Yeah.
They're not kissing you because they want to kiss you. They're kissing you because it says on here you have to kiss her.
Yeah, but then loads of people have relationships when they've been in a relationship on screen.
You're going to have to talk to Brad and Angelina about that, but I'm pretty sure they do a lot of... The romance happens off-screen, going for drinks after work, rehearsing without,
Rehearsing.
Rehearsing.
Because it does look so intimate, but I suppose what you're saying, actually, there's no intimacy at all.
Not,
is there?
if you were to kiss your own husband in front of us all now in the middle of that floor, you wouldn't feel what you would feel in real life.
But I always get really distracted by the extras in things. Just the next time you watch something, please sorry, Sonny, ignore the main person on the screen and just watch the extras because I find them fascinating because you have the ones that are really great, but then you also have the ones that really just give it that extra, go above and beyond. All they've got to do is pick up this pen and put it down, but there's a real, they've given themselves their own, background into putting that pen down. You know what I mean?
Can I tell you one tiny little story on Casualty? We had this scene where there was meant to be building work upstairs, and we all had to play at this certain point that the building was like, oh, what's going on upstairs? The extras had all been told, react like there's an earthquake, because they thought they wouldn't react properly if they thought it was just... So we were all looking up, and these extras were going, falling on the floor, throwing them... And we were like...
Quite dramatic.
What have they told them to do? We looked ridiculous, because we were just like... Anyway.
Hey, this is
But
what
I mean, have you ever been in a situation with somebody... It's a supporting actor, I think, isn't it, you call it? Is that what you call it?
Yes.
Yes.
That kind of overplays their hand a bit?
Oh, gosh, yeah. I mean, I had to play a waitress once in a show called London Bridge, and I had to turn up... I had to basically take an order or something off these people and get back to my mark in time for the camera to hear me say what I have to say. So I went to this table and I sort of pretended, and this woman went, do you do the eggs poached? And she started asking me about the eggs, and I was like,
time.
hang on, oh, and then they were like, cut, Sinetra, why weren't you on your mark? And I was like, this lady wants to know about the eggs.
You threw her under the bus.
I had to throw her under the bus because she wasn't meant to ask me.
Point made.
She will hate you for that. She will hate you for that, I tell you. You've ruined her career. It could have been the big moment. Now, our guest for today, Jonathan Ross, is no stranger to the This Women's Studio and has been on the show a whopping 16 times. And he just keeps coming back for more, just like we keep going back for more of The Masked Singer.
Star of Shrek 2 and Spice World, the movie. It's Jonathan Ross, everybody.
I love the sound of your voice. What a lovely tone, a warm tone to it. It sounded beautiful, but it didn't sound like your voice. I don't normally like seeing traffic cones like most people, but for you, I'll make an exception.
It doesn't make any sense.
Jonathan Ross, the next time I get you on the other side of the microphone, heaven help you. A little time with me. That's right.
Oh, good glow. Please welcome Jonathan Ross.
Good morning, thank you.
Oh, hi, Jonathan.
You know, if Sinetra wants to push me over the desk, I did floss this morning, so I'm ready.
See, it's all
ready.
The eyebrow up.
You got Gloria, actually.
I got Gloria.
You were right on it. How quick did you know?
Well, not that quick, because the clues, even though the clues all make sense, they're also designed to kind of confuse you. So one of the set of clues they gave us for Gloria was, oh, I've worked with Audrey Hepburn and Sean Connery and all this. And so we all were thinking it's an actor or performer who's worked with them. And it was only when I began to think, well, maybe it isn't. And I thought, oh, no, of course, someone who's interviewed people over that period would have known them as well. And I could only think of two women from that period who were regularly doing those kind of showbiz interviews. It was Mavis Nicholson, who's amazing, of course, and Gloria Hunniford, who was amazing. And then when she started singing, it was like, immediately I got the voice.
Really?
Very iconic, our Gloria.
Yeah. And what amazing to get out there and do that. And she was so good on stage.
Yeah.
Great
She
singer.
was a singer back in the day.
Beautiful singer.
Back in the day, but that's, of course, like, was 1750, I think.
Don't you dare. The Gloria.
No,
You'll
listen,
have you for that.
you're a bit of a Gloria, because you've also worked with loads of greats over the years with all the things you've done, right? Like De Niro, and you could have dropped a lot of big names, couldn't you?
A few big names, but the problem is, at my age, I've forgotten them. So, I mean, I forget that show. I'm watching that show at home with my wife, and one of the people who's unmasked earlier the show, and even though I was there when it was Will Young, who was Lionfish, of course, and I remember I got him eventually in the show, but up until that point, I thought it was Mika. And when watching at home, my wife said, who's that? I went, it's Mika. And I persuaded myself again that it was the person, and I forgot who it actually was. So,
do you ever not know when they take the costume off? Are you still a bit like, don't recognise you at all?
no, I haven't had that. I think some of the other guests might have had that occasionally. I think occasionally Rita's a bit confused, and just permanently. And also, I think when we had Joan Collins on, one of the younger stars, and I think Joan didn't quite know who it was, which is understandable, because it is a different generation, of course.
I think I'd be awful. I'd be like, you know, that one that did that thing.
Oh, yeah, you're like that. Yeah, you're
We keep expecting to see you under the mask. We're still waiting for it.
I know, every time everyone's like, you're whoever. No.
But you love pop culture, don't you? You're really into pop culture, and you love sort of working things out. So it's a perfect gig for you.
I do enjoy, and you know, it's so lovely, because all the people I work with, all the other panelists are so lovely. You know, they're so nice. I know everyone says it on shows, but we really mean it. You know, like, Rita's so much fun to hang out with. Mo, who did such a great job at the Brits this week, and I spoke to him the other day. Joel's a joy. He was in the building here yesterday. He was on Lorraine, I think. And of course, Davina, hardest working woman in show business. But she's amazing. So it's really a lovely kind of chemistry, and we have a lot of fun in each other's company as well.
So we tune in my house. I've got two young girls, and we tune in for the costumes. The kids love it. But I tune in for your outfits, and I want to know who's behind it. Is there a stylist behind it?
No, that's all my old stuff. Really? Come on, you know this, no. So you've seen what I wear. There's no stylist that would take responsibility for those car crashes.
Eclectic.
No, most of my stuff is like, see, this stuff I got out of storage. I had all my old clothes over these. Like, this suit I'm wearing today, I bought in 1991.
Wow.
Really? So I get it all out of the cupboard, and I like wearing it again. And some of that's new. That's a new outfit. But mainly, I try and avoid buying new clothes, mainly because I've got too many.
Have you got a massive walk-in wardrobe?
I've got quite a large one.
You've got a big sofa on Gogglebox.
And all my that's downstairs, and all my shoes are in the floor. I had the floor built with these kind of Perspex boxes that is the floor, and I use a little device so all my shoes are on display on the floor.
No. You love clothes, then?
Yeah, I love clothes. Clothes are fun, you know.
Do you have a signature perfume or scent? Because we were talking about that earlier.
Today I'm wearing something called Fathom, I believe, which is meant to spell like barnacles on a treasure chest at the bottom of the ocean. No. And this shows you why you shouldn't buy things from Instagram adverts late at night. Okay?
I'm not sure why you would want to smell like that.
It smells quite nice.
You're supposed to put it on your ankles.
Are you not joking?
No,
Are
I'm
you
not
genuinely
joking.
telling me you bought something that said it smells like
Yes, it sounded like a good idea at the time. I bought a samurai sword one night when I was in bed, and it turned up a month late, and I couldn't remember buying it. But I remember very much when I first started dating my wife, we've been married over 30 years now, she wore Poison, that perfume that was very popular back then. And still, if I smell it, I feel quite emotional. It always reminds me of that. And I've got a little bottle with some of the aftershave I used to wear back then. They don't make anymore. And sometimes I'll smell that as well. And it reminds me of that period, because it's very...
Like nostalgic.
It's a very powerful kind of way of it really triggers all those memories, scent more than anything else, I think.
I remember that actually at the airport. So my mum's passed away, and I had lost my sense of smell for 2 years. Oh, wow. And I was at the airport with the kids, and one of them came over with one of these little tests and said to me, "Here's Granny." And I thought, what's she doing? You know, what is it? And I smelt it, and it was my mum.
Yeah.
And it was this perfume. It was Jungle by Kenzo. I'm not plugging it, but that's what she always...
Do you think if you had a row, if you and Jane had a row and you just sort of spritzed a bit of that on, do you think it might take you back to like that?
I mean, first of all, what do you mean if? I mean, come on, we've been married 30 years. It's not like we don't have rows, but... Yeah, but she doesn't wear that. She wears other perfumes now. There's a place in New York, which is a really interesting man called Christopher Broger, I think his name is, who designed perfume. He started the big firm that became Diptyque. And he designs his own perfumes now. And so she's got these weird ones she wears. Like, one of them smells like earth after it's rained. And one of them smells like it's meant to be a
comforting.
Californian beach in the 1970s.
Yeah.
You know, and he does tailor-made scents for people as well. So she's got these kind of like, you know, but we don't wow to that extent.
But you need to go and douse
I'd need
yourself
to
in
go and stick
1985.
Well, she might say
Yeah.
differently, yeah.
Yeah, she probably would.
Well, if you're buying all this stuff late at night, are you a bad sleeper then?
Well, I'm not really a bad sleeper. I mean, my wife is quite a bad sleeper. But it's interesting you were talking about that because she was talking to me just last night in bed because I was saying we should turn the light off now. She's always the last one to go to bed. You know what I mean? I'm going, it's like, it's 12:30, it's 1, we should turn off now. And we don't have the best
late.
health. But she said she was reading a big article yesterday saying how that if adults even don't get proper consistent sleep, i.e. the same kind of pattern, the same depth, that is something which actually might be one of the causes of Alzheimer's later in life.
Yeah,
And that kind of looking after your brain that way is so crucial. So it is so important to try and get a routine and make sure you get those hours.
Yeah,
Stop
which is,
buying
with our
sunrise
kids, we do that all the time, but we forget about it when we become adults.
Yeah, well, we forget about everything at our age.
Well, don't say our age. Some of you younger than you. And then anyway, you're staying with us till the end of the show.
You can't get rid of me. You cannot get rid of me.
Yeah, and lots more still to talk about, including a topic inspired by a podcast that I heard, actually, you were involved with about parenting.
Oh, yeah.
You said that parenting gets easier as the kids get older. I'm not sure I agree.
Well, you're wrong.
But we can talk about it after this. Welcome back. Jonathan Ross is still with us and we'll be talking to him about parenting next. The days that you thought you'd left behind you, Jonathan.
I hope.
But first, it's competition time again. 25, £250,000 actually is up for grabs. Andy Peters has all the details.
Now, before you think it, no, I'm not out on another jolly. I've actually been doing a lot of research on your behalf. Our huge cash prize of £250,000 could be making its way to you, and I'm on a mission to help you spend it. I've searched the length of the UK to see what 250 grand would buy you. Whether you finally want to get on the property ladder, make an investment, or possibly even relocate, the options are endless. If you fancy the city life, how about this fancy pad in Glasgow? Or how about this 3-bedroom house in the seaside town of Filey in North Yorkshire? The money will be all yours, so it's up to you how you spend it. Shopping sprees, holidays, brand new cars, who cares? All you've got to do is win, and to win with a chance, here's how. For another chance to win £250,000. Text cash to 82248. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message, or go to the website. Entries cost £2. You can call 09068 782248. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and phone number to CD05 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 8 and over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on Friday the 4th of March. You've got to be in it to win it. Good luck.
Right, Jonathan, I need to teach you about this podcast that I listened to when you said that parenting gets easier as they get older, yeah? That's not in my experience. Why do you think it gets easier?
I think you have bad children, that's the problem. No, I think, well, what I really meant was, it's a bit more complicated. Easier is a kind of blanket phrase. It gets very different. And I worried so much when my kids were little. I was always worried about safety, always worried about their health. Have they caught something? Have they done something? Always worried about how they were doing at school. Was there bullying going on? Was there other stuff going on? Always worried about, are they just going to walk in front of the road? You know, always worried about, are they happy and are they hiding stuff from us or are they OK? You know, and all that stuff which really lands on you heavily as a parent, I think, when they're little. It's like you were talking about your little one not sleeping, and sometimes you can't help. You know, you really want to fix something for them, you can't. And I felt that. When they get to be adults, I think you still have that connection and you still have that responsibility and you still have those concerns, but I think you have the knowledge now that, OK, you need to step back. And you need to let them make some mistakes and learn from them. And you need to still be there for them, but they aren't your responsibility in the same way. And so I think what I meant was that massive responsibility where you have to do all that stuff. It is actually on you, and you can't always do it, and you can't always fix it. I felt it was very difficult and sometimes really draining and emotionally difficult. Whereas now I think, OK, I want them to be happy. I want them to be well. We would do everything we can to help them, but at the same time, I want them to stay away from me. And look after themselves a bit.
No, you don't have that because your daughter, unfortunately, is not well, and so she is.
But of course, I was joking when I said, of course, if ever they need anything, we're there for them. And she isn't well at the moment, my daughter. She's still with us at home and she's still bedridden. And it's a complicated thing she has. It's a combination of fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. And so there isn't a kind of quick fix cure, you know. That.
Yeah.
So we basically are there to try and help her gradually get back some strength, get back some ability to look after herself. And that is difficult. That is draining for us.
Especially because these are illnesses that we didn't grow up experiencing with our own friends and family.
They weren't labelled them.
Yeah, we didn't actually have so many discovered conditions that we now know of. So it's a hard thing to navigate, isn't it?
And it's also hard because there isn't a cure as such, you know what I mean? It isn't like something, when someone has something, you know, and obviously some things we can't fix and even more, and there are some terrible things out there, but often normally you can say, well, you do a course of this, or you do this kind of rehab, or this sort of like physio, but there isn't a kind of quick fix for this. So, but you know what? I'm a kind of optimistic kind of person. I think she will go well. And also, I often, my wife and I, when we say, you know, there are so many people going through so much worse. You know, she's ill, but she's not dying. You know, and there are people out there whose kids are dying, and that's like, you know, I can't begin to imagine how that must feel, and they can't help them. So really, I look at it as we're lucky. You know, we've got her home with us. We know she's safe. We see her a lot. I wish I didn't have to look after a dog all the time, but I mean, certainly he's a weirdo. He's kind of... She's got a French grey bulldog, right, and he's become completely round. He's like, you know when you see those fat seals?
You're feeding him too much.
I know, but I put him on a diet. He's like a woman on menopause. Even though he's not eating, he's still putting on weight. He's still putting on weight.
Well, it's great she's got you. What do you think? You know, we're talking about the younger years versus the older years. And when we're young, we take, you know, parental leave, maternity leave. And there was somebody quite senior at Co-op recently has taken 4 months off to get their kids through GCSEs. Do you think we should be able to take some kind of sabbatical when they become teenagers and mentor them into the next stage?
I mean, I think so. You know, it's like, I can see why some businesses would find that kind of onerous and a strain to put on their finance side of things. But at the same time, I think ultimately, and we're more and more getting this way, I think, and certainly the younger generation coming up are focusing much more on what their life is rather than what they feel obliged to do.
Right.
You know, and it's like, and that is important because, you know, you don't want to turn around at 50 and say, I wish I'd spent more time. I mean, I know myself, you know, I look back on things where I think, I wish I'd done a bit more of that or a bit more of that or a bit less of that. And you can't change it.
No.
You know, so you do need to make sure that you can find those times. And it is so important, I think, so prioritising what you want to do, and hopefully companies will be aware of that, and if they value, and they should value their people, because it's the greatest resource you have in any company, then you should make sure that they can work in a way that
I think it's really amazing about you, though, is that growing up all over the years, I've always noticed that you do sort of have this equality within yourself and women. You and Jane are quite a strong partnership, and I feel like we're talking about this CEO from Co-op. I think it's a woman, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a woman.
It would never be a man in my head, whereas with you, I do think that you're kind of the guy, kind of dad or husband that would be quite hands-on. So,
the other thing about Jonathan, he's a consummate professional. He knows we've only got 15 seconds left.
So
and unfortunately, we can't let him answer that question, which is a real shame. I'm so sorry, Jonathan.
He's very
We did do a poll on this, by the way. Which are the hardest to parent, teens or toddlers? And our audience said teens, 75% to 25%.
Because they raised them wrong.
Yeah. Jonathan, lovely to have you here as
things.
ever. Next week is Loose Love Week. We're going to be joined by Corey's Chesney, a.k.a. Sam Aston, and his partner, Bryony Gardner. Many, many more. We will see you then.